Is this frustrating?
Very frustrating.
Tell me about that.
I want Elon Musk to do something about this. Probably help us out.
Nothing, no juice. It's still on 0%. And this is like 3 hours this morning being out here after being out here 8 hours yesterday.
Last winter, a Tesla owner in Chicago is stranded on the highway with his 2 kids in the back seat. Temperature, 15 degrees Fahrenheit. His Model 3 showed 80 miles of range when he left home. He was driving 40 miles to his parents' house. Basic math says he'd make it easily. Except his car died at mile 32. No warning, just dead. AAA towed him to a charging station where he waited 7 hours in freezing cold to get enough charge to drive home. His wife posted the story on Reddit. Tesla's response? Nothing. Silence. Here's why. Because Tesla always knew this. In winter, his car doesn't have 272 miles of range like the sticker says. It has 160. And they always knew this, but instead of letting us know, they buried it. Because if we knew the truth, the $500 billion electric vehicle industry would collapse overnight. Before we dive in, everything you're about to hear is sourced from AAA's official automotive research, the U.S. Department of Energy's battery testing data, Reuters investigations, and Al Jazeera's analysis of the global EV market. All links are in the description. I need everyone watching to verify every single claim yourself, because what you're about to hear sounds like a conspiracy theory, but it's not. It's documented science that's been hidden in plain sight for a decade. Let's start with the number they're trying their best to hide, 41%. That's the average range loss in electric vehicles when the temperature hits 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Not 5%, not 15%, 41%. This comes from AAA's 2024 cold weather testing of 5 of the most popular EVs on the market. Think about what that actually means. We bought a Tesla Model 3 advertised with 272 miles of range, paid $45,000 for it. Winter arrives, and suddenly we have 160 miles. That Nissan Leaf with 149 miles, now it's 88 miles. We didn't buy the car we thought we bought. We bought a different vehicle entirely, one that appears magically only in summer and vanishes the moment snow starts falling. But here's where this goes from misleading to criminal. The U.S. Department of Energy has had this data since 2014. They've known for over a decade that lithium-ion batteries lose 30–40% of their capacity at 20 degrees Fahrenheit. They published it. It's sitting in government databases right now. So why didn't anyone tell us? Why did we sit through dealership presentations, watch Tesla's slick commercials, read Nissan's brochures, and nobody mentioned that our car would lose nearly half its range for 4 months of the year? Because they made a calculation. If we knew the truth, we wouldn't buy. Simple as that. And it gets worse. That 41% range loss, that's just from the cold battery. The Department of Energy's research shows that if we actually want to, not freeze to death while driving, if we turn on the heater, we lose an additional 50% of our range. Do the math with me. 40% loss from cold plus 50% loss from heating equals 70% total range loss. That Tesla with 272 miles of advertised range, we're now getting 81 miles in real-world winter driving. 81 miles. That's not a car. That's a golf cart with heated seats. Here's a real scenario. We live in Denver. We want to visit family in Boulder, 60 miles round trip. Sounds easy, right? Except it's January. Temperature is 15 degrees. We need heat. Our 300-mile range EV now has about 90 miles of real range. We're doing mental math at every stoplight. Can I make it? Do I need to charge? Where's the nearest station? This is the reality they sold us, disguised as the future of transportation. Now let's talk about what happens when our crippled winter EV needs to charge, because they buried this deep. At 32 degrees Fahrenheit, EV charging speed drops by 36%. At 0 degrees, it drops by 60%. Read that again. When we need charging the most, because our range is destroyed, charging takes twice as long. That Tesla supercharger advertised as 200 miles of range in 15 minutes, in winter it's 80 miles in 30 minutes. That's if we're lucky. That's if the battery isn't so cold that the charging system limits power to protect the cells. Then we're talking 45 minutes, an hour, longer. This is why January 2024 in Chicago became a nightmare. Tesla owners reported waiting 6 to 8 hours to charge their vehicles in sub-zero temperatures. Cars were abandoned at charging stations, literally abandoned, because owners gave up and called tows. Source: multiple verified news reports from January 2024 Chicago incidents. And this isn't a Tesla problem. This is a lithium-ion chemistry problem. This is every EV. Nissan, Chevy, Ford, Rivian. Every single one of them slows to a crawl in cold weather. But you know what's fascinating? None of them mentioned this in their marketing materials. None of them showed winter charging times in their comparison charts. But here's the conspiracy that should make our blood boil. The EPA, the government agency responsible for telling us the truth about vehicle range, designed their testing to specifically avoid cold weather. The EPA tests EVs at temperatures between 68 and 86 degrees Fahrenheit. That's it. No winter testing, no cold soak testing, nothing. So when we see EPA estimated range, 300 miles on that window sticker, that number was calculated in a climate-controlled laboratory in perfect conditions. Conditions that don't exist in Minnesota from November to March. Conditions that don't exist in Montana, Wisconsin, Michigan, New York, or the northern half of the United States for half the year. They knew winter would destroy range. They had the data. They just made sure the official government rating, the one we use to comparison chart, would never show it. Why? Because imagine if that EPA sticker told the truth. Range, 300 miles summer, 180 miles winter with heat. Who would buy these cars? Who would trade in their reliable gas vehicle for something that turns into a pumpkin when the temperature drops?
Now, here's where this story takes a turn that should absolutely enrage us. While American automakers were perfecting the art of hiding winter performance problems, Chinese manufacturers were actually solving them. BYD, the company that's now the world's largest EV maker, developed heat pump technology that reduces winter range loss from 40% down to around 20%. That's still a reduction, but it's half the loss that American EVs suffer. And BYD advertises this feature. They put it in their brochures. They tell customers, our cars work better in winter than American EVs. And they're right. So why don't Tesla, Ford, and Chevrolet have this technology? They do. Heat pump systems exist. The technology is available. BMW offers it, Volkswagen offers it, but American EV manufacturers, they make it an expensive option or they don't offer it at all. Why? Because installing heat pump systems adds $1,500 to $2,000 to the manufacturing cost of each vehicle, and American automakers made a bet. They bet we'd buy the cars first and only discover the winter problem later, after it's too late to return them, after we've already financed $50,000 at 7% interest for 72 months. They chose profit over honesty, and it worked for a while. But here's what's happening right now in real time. BYD sold 4.27 million vehicles in 2024, a 29% increase from 2023. Meanwhile, Tesla's market share in China, the world's largest EV market, collapsed to 6.1%. Want to know why? Because Chinese buyers discovered the winter problem in 2022, and when they had the choice between a Tesla that lies about winter performance and a BYD that solves it, they chose honesty. They chose the company that actually told them the truth. American automakers could install heat pumps tomorrow. They could retrofit existing vehicles. They could admit the problem and fix it. But they won't, because doing so would be admitting they knowingly sold us defective products. It would open them up to class action lawsuits. It would crater the resale value of the 4+ million EVs already on American roads. So instead, they're hoping we just deal with it. Hope we just accept that the car we bought isn't the car we were sold. But the automakers aren't the only ones lying to us. Let's talk about EV charging companies. When the temperature drops below freezing, those 350 kilowatt ultra-fast chargers plastered all over charging station advertisements, they become 150 kilowatt medium-speed chargers because cold batteries can't accept power that quickly. The chemistry won't allow it. Source: Industry Analysis of Cold Weather Charging Infrastructure Performance. But the charging companies still advertise 350 kilowatt, still show 15-minute charge times on their apps, still charge us the premium rate for ultra-fast charging while delivering half the speed. This is why EV charging station companies are going bankrupt across America right now. They built their entire business model on summer charging speeds and summer range. Winter shows up, and suddenly their stations are occupied for twice as long, generating half the revenue per hour. The math breaks, the business model fails, and our charging infrastructure is collapsing. And nobody warned us this was coming. Not the automakers, not the charging companies, not the EPA. Nobody. So here we are. Millions of Americans, maybe some of you watching right now, paid $40,000 to $100,000 for electric vehicles that lose up to 70% of their range every winter. The automakers had the data proving this would happen. The Department of Energy published research confirming it. The EPA designed their tests specifically to avoid measuring it. Chinese manufacturers solved it 3 years ago, and American companies chose to hide it instead of fix it. This isn't about being anti-EV. This is about demanding truth. If they had told us, if they had said this car gets 300 miles in summer but 180 miles in January and charging takes twice as long in cold weather, we could have made informed decisions. Maybe we'd have still bought them, knowing the limitations, or maybe we'd have chosen differently. But we deserved the choice. We deserved the truth. Instead, we got marketing materials showing EVs driving through snow-covered mountains with range estimates that cannot physically exist in those conditions. We got EPA stickers based on laboratory tests in perfect weather. We got silence when we asked questions. And right now, today, as temperatures drop across the northern United States, millions of us are discovering we were sold a lie, and they're still not talking. If your EV range has collapsed this winter, drop your numbers in the comments. Let's crowdsource the data they refuse to publish. Model, temperature, actual range versus advertised. Let's document what they won't admit. Because they're counting on us staying quiet. Let's prove them wrong.